The statistic lands on Maya's campaign slide and it looks perfect. 73% of buyers shortlist a vendor before ever talking to sales, according to the Evelyn Group's annual buyer survey. One problem: the Evelyn Group does not exist and neither does the survey. Judging output like this is the single heaviest skill on the exam. About a fifth of everything you will answer, the biggest block there is. It is so heavy that it gets 2 episodes, and this one teaches exactly one skill: spotting the lie before it ships. Let's rewind to how that number caught on the slide. Rewind an hour. Dan wants one strong market statistic for the opening slide, something that makes the quarterly push feel urgent. Maya asks Claude, and Claude delivers a specific percentage with a named industry report attached, formatted like a footnote from a real deck. After the subsection incident, Maya has a new reflex, so before the deck ships, she goes looking for the report itself. No research firm by that name, no survey, no 73%, nothing. The citation was manufactured, and Anthropic has a name for this: a fabricated citation, a reference that looks authoritative and sounds convincing while being grounded in nothing. Notice what her eyes could never have caught. There is no tail inside the text. The fake footnote is formatted exactly like a real one. Which gives you the first rule of this domain: a citation is only verified once you have opened it. To spot these reliably, you need to know why they happen, and the reason is almost disappointingly mechanical. Claude does not look answers up in some internal database of facts. It predicts what text should come next, one piece at a time. Watch what that means for Maya's footnote. The words according to a report by are on the page, so the machine continues them the way thousands of real reports continue, with a firm name, a survey title, and a crisp percentage. It is completing the shape of a citation, not retrieving one, and the shape is all it owes you. Anthropic's own documentation says even the most advanced models can generate text that is factually incorrect or inconsistent with the context you gave them, and it calls this hallucination. Here is the detail in their guidance I find most revealing: simply giving Claude explicit permission to say, "I don't know," drastically reduces false information. Read that backwards. By default, the machine would rather produce a confident answer than admit uncertainty, unless you invite the admission. So, confidence is the house style. The text sounds sure whether the fact underneath is real or invented. Anthropic's help documentation names 3 specific failure modes to check for, and they make a good pocket checklist. First, outdated training data. The model's knowledge stops at some point in the past. So anything current prices, leadership, regulations may be stale even when it is stated as today's truth. Maya's version of that one: last quarter's competitor pricing delivered as if it were this morning's. Second, fabricated citations. The Evelyn Group quotes and references that look real and are grounded in nothing. Third, plausible sounding errors. Answers with no fake source attached, just a confident claim that happens to be wrong. The third kind is the hardest. Because there is nothing to look up, the sentence itself is the whole crime scene. One posture covers all three, and it is Anthropic's own baseline. Do not rely on Claude as a singular source of truth, and scrutinize anything high stakes. Now watch Maya's exact situation arrive as an exam question, because it will. A marketing coordinator drafts a competitive analysis with Claude, and the draft includes market share statistics with citations to industry reports. The deck goes to the executive team and then into a public webinar. So what happens before it ships? Option A: include the draft as is, since Claude provided citations for every statistic. You already know this one. A citation is unverified until opened, and fabricated citations are a named failure mode struck. Option B: ask Claude to double check its own statistics and confirm they are accurate. That check is generated by the same machine with the same failure modes. A confident yes is just more text struck. Option C: spot check the one statistic that looks surprising and ship if it holds up. The dangerous fabrications are the unsurprising ones, and one passing check says nothing about the rest struck. That leaves D Open each cited report and verify every statistic against its source. Because external facing plus factual means every claim gets checked. Verify the same stamp as the cold open and it will not be the last time today. Accuracy has a quieter tween that almost nobody checks for: completeness. An output can be true in every sentence and still have silently dropped the thing you needed. Maya has met this one too. A 40-page brand study covering 6 markets, summarized into 5 clean insights, and the summary quietly covers 4 of the markets. Nothing in it is wrong, 2 markets are simply gone, and no sentence anywhere announces the absence. The trap is that a full looking table reads as a complete table. An operations team has Claude extract penalty clauses from a dozen vendor contracts. Every row comes back filled, and 2 of the contracts had amendments the extraction never saw. So here is a working rule: check completeness against the source document or your original list of requirements, never against how finished the output feels. Silence is the failure mode here, and silence never trips an alarm on its own. Here is a warning light most people wave away. Ask the same factual question twice and you get 2 different answers. One run says $49 a seat, the next says 59. Anthropic's guidance is blunt about what that flicker can mean. Inconsistencies across outputs could indicate hallucinations. 2 answers to one question means at least one of them is wrong, so the honest status for both is unverified. The reflex to resist is asking a third time and trusting whichever number shows up twice, because majority vote among guesses is still guessing. The fix is boring and external: the competitor's actual pricing page or the supplier's actual documentation. In other words, the source. There is a deliberate, repeatable version of this retry trick, and it belongs to next episode's playbook. For now, treat the flicker as the smoke alarm it is. One more thing to spot, and it is the one with real people on the other end: bias. Bias rarely announces itself, it shows up in framing: which details get emphasized, which examples get chosen, whose story gets told generously. An HR coordinator uses Claude to shortlist 200 internal applications, and spot checking reveals the summaries describe career gaps negatively for some profiles and neutrally for others. No single summary looks wrong on its own. The skew only appears when you compare comparable cases. That comparison is the working check. Does the output treat comparable cases comparably? And does it lean on proxies like names, addresses, or gaps in employment? Anthropic's usage policy treats decisions about people, hiring, housing, lending, insurance, admissions as its most serious category precisely because a biased output at scale becomes a discriminatory outcome at scale. Those uses carry a hard requirement about human review. And that is next episode's territory. For today, know that anything ranking or scoring people is where the bias check stops being optional. Framing is output too, so judge it the way you judge the facts. So Maya, she cuts the statistic, tells Dan the report does not exist, and rebuilds the slide on a dollar number pulled from their own campaign analytics, one she can defend in the room. The deck ships an hour late and entirely true, which is the trade this domain keeps asking you to make. Your scorecard: 3 named failure modes, the quiet completeness check, the flicker warning light, and the comparable cases test for bias. One last question, and it is pure warning light. A project manager preparing a capacity plan asks Claude about a supplier's lead times twice and gets 2 different figures. Option A says use the most recent figure, but recency is not evidence both runs came from the same model struck. Option B says average the 2, but averaging 2 possible hallucinations manufactures a third unverified number struck. Option D says ask a third time and trust whichever figure appears twice, but majority vote among outputs is still the model grading itself struck. That leaves C. The inconsistency signals possible hallucination. So treat the figure as unverified and confirm it against the supplier's own documentation. Verify the whole episode in one stamp. Next episode, part 2 of this domain, the validation playbook. Now that Maya can spot the lie, what is the repeatable checking routine and when must a human sign off?